led by the Chair Health, Governor Mudomi. Yeah, he will be present with the Secretariat team.
With the Sang.
And Governor Sang, the whip.
And your Vice Chair.
Yes, if he's around.
No, we want him to give a commitment. Will you be there, Vice Chair?
He will confirm with the team because he's not sure whether he'll be in Nairobi or not.
Wajir is far.
Yeah, and sometimes there are other engagements. Thank you, Chair. Let me take this opportunity again to finally say thank you. And we look forward to this matter. But we can ask that now that these meetings have been set, and you're definitely going to facilitate the conversation on the final one, that we request the medics, KMPDU and KUKO, and the laboratory union as well, all of them to please go back to work as we finalize the issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Anne Waiguru, Chair of the Council of Governors, with your deputy, and also the Chair of Health, Governor Sang and Governor Kahiga. Thank you for coming and honoring the summons by the bicameral parliament to appear before us and respond to those questions. We are only allowing the Council of Governors to leave, and then we can proceed together with the clinical officers and the laboratory, I think.
And Chair, before we leave, sorry, I forgot one small thing.
Yes.
Now that we are here, we cannot let this opportunity pass. All these issues that we have raised are to do with resources. We are in the process of negotiating the DORA. We are requesting for the support from these committees, both at the National Assembly. You have seen the critical issues that are pertain to the health sector, to support the counties to get more resources to be able to cater for these functions. But we wanted to appeal to the Chair of the Senate and also to you as well, because I know they will end up in both houses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, your clarity, you are saying I thought we still have issues with the ministry.
You have issues with the ministry. Okay, then you can remain. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Please, Sang, we had released you, and you seem to still want to stay around. Maybe CS Health, we can ask that maybe you and your team, you can move a little bit closer. Thank you very much, honorable members. We have two cabinet secretaries who have joined us in the course of our deliberation. I'll ask the cabinet secretary for health and the cabinet secretary for labor to go on record. Then we can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, honorable members. I'm before this committee. I was invited together with my colleague, Cabinet Secretary for Health. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. I had pronounced myself, but again, I'm here to discuss and hopefully finalize on this matter. Thank you.
Now, we go back to two items. I think, Honorable Cabinet Secretaries, there are two matters that have been raised. I think for Cabinet Secretary for Labour, while you are away, of course, your PS was here and he has made a presentation on the report and the status and the position. We have also listened to the Medical Laboratory Workers Union, and we've made some ruling that they will file their dispute with you on the issue of recognition with the county governments, so that you can convene a conciliation meeting to resolve that matter as soon as possible, to allow for progress on resolving the matters that have to do with them, so that if they have the necessary threshold, then counties, and of course since counties will also have to sit in that meeting, they should be able to resolve that matter. And I think their matters can then be handled. For State Department of Health, the PS has been here and the union has raised, and I think the union has said there are two critical matters with the national government that they feel are outstanding, and the CS has just walked out, so we are talking to the people who are here. Is that the honourable member from Turkan?
No, Chair. I'm a technical staff in the Ministry of Health, heading Human Resource for Health. Dr. Hazel.
Well, in any case, you work for Ministry of Health, and you know issues of likeness and so forth can always arise. So,
Apologies, Chair. The CS is just going to pick the President's call.
Maybe because CS is attending to that very important call. PS, can we proceed and you can take responsibility for your Cabinet Secretary? Yes. Yeah, we shall allow, because the Cabinet Secretary is here. Yeah. So, Daktari, the Chair, maybe on those two issues with clarity, maybe you can raise those issues to do with the interns. And as you raise the issue, you must be giving what exactly is it that you people want, so that we also listen to you. And we want to be very precise. I think we have discussed for a while.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair. I think we know very, very well that every year we have doctors who graduate are being posted for internship. We've been following this every year to the point that the last lot that was posted was in July last year. And therefore, that those who then finalized, who graduated, and those who were not posted that particular last year, who then ought to be posted. As per our collective bargaining agreement that was signed between the Ministry of Health and KMPDU, it is in Article 4 that after 30 days, once a doctor has done oathing at the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council or at Pharmacy and Poisons Board, then they need to be posted to their respective internship centers. But in this case, interns were not posted. So we continue following up with the ministry by writing different letters, until in March they promised that they'll post them in April. That was after we had issued a strike notice to that effect. But then later we learned, because in our demand of strike notice was that interns be posted as per the collective bargaining agreement. We did not know that there was any nefarious plan to actually reduce the wages as agreed in the CBA. But we came to learn that there was a SRC circular which was reducing the wages of these particular interns, not really as per the basic salary, but the allowances. Because you know that as per this, the collective bargaining agreement, when an intern is posted from 2017, they get paid a basic salary of 42,970. They're then also being paid allowance, that non-purpose allowance. They get paid call allowance because they're on call. They get paid risk allowance. They get paid house allowance because they stay in those particular. They have to they have to get house where they stay. Also, they paid commuter allowance. But these allowances that were agreed upon, that SRC gave letters of no objections, were then scrapped without any consultation. So there was a clear violation of the CBA of the union. That's what has brought the contestation that we have between us and the Ministry of Health, where yes, they now want to post them because that's what we're demanding, but they're violating the CBA, meaning that no doctor in the country will be safe because the same way they will violate this for the intern doctors, they can violate for any other doctors. I want to bring into context that before this CBA was signed, in 2011, doctor interns were earning 160,000 as job group L entry with allowances. We were then demanding for them to earn 357,000, which was signed in a CBA in 2013. Government disowned this particular CBA, which resulted into 100 days strike. The offer that they've now been earning for the last 7 years was actually offered by government, which was then signed. And SRC gave letters of no objection in 2017. Therefore, reducing this to a consolidated value of 70,000 is taking back the aspect of work by entry level of doctors to 25 years back. And that has been the bone of contention in this particular strike, and something that has not made any progress. The other issue that was also very critical, the two things, was the issue of Kenyatta National Hospital, where we have doctors employed on different rates. We have doctors who are earning a third of their fellow colleagues, and they're working in the same environment, doing the same job in all aspects. So these ones also were demanding they be harmonized so they can earn equal, because it's always a matter of equal work for equal pay. And this relates also to what happens in Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital, where doctors are being employed on on a daily basis, or on a 1 month, or at most 3 months, to the point that even if you have a patient, by the time you finish the process of managing start managing this particular patient, your contract is already ended. So it's always at the detriment of the patient in this particular QTRH. Those are the concerns that you had that are pending in the national.
Thank you very much, Dr. I think I will allow the Cabinet Secretary for Health to give us a status on that. And
just one more thing. There's also what I addressed earlier, which also pens in national, because it goes with the registrars, where we have Kenyatta National Hospital, Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospitals, Moi Teaching and Referral Hospitals, where we have registrars. We have doctors who, in this case, are not from counties. In this case, are doctors that are self-sponsored and are working in these particular hospitals. They are on rota doing their masters. They generate revenue for these particular facilities. They don't get any pay. They are actually during the day they're working in these hospitals. At night they have to moonlight to actually survive. Yet they have, because of their existence, these hospitals are not employing. So ideally, it is only in Kenya, it's only in these referral hospitals where these doctors are being exploited. We call actually slavery. If you go to where Dr. Nyikal studied in Australia, every services that you offer, as long as you're in the rota, that you're offering services that are being paid for by these particular patients, you ought to be remunerated. Thank you.
And maybe, as I allow the CS, I'm just wondering, when you say they are being exploited, are they also not exploiting the hospital in terms of knowledge? Maybe later on you'll respond. Cabinet Secretary for Health.
Thank you very much, Chair, my colleague, honorable members. I want to appreciate Chair for this sitting that we now convene to hopefully listen to the items that we have not managed to finalize, and if possible finalize, if not, get a route to finalization. Chair, KMPDC in their strike notice, they did raise 19 issues. We have been engaging, and the engagements have been both formal and informal to try and get a solution. In the last meeting that we had, Chair, and that is what we have been alluding to, we discussed and did sign a document. The document that we did sign, and even as we were signing that document, we were in agreement that since we have resolved almost all the matters, anytime we meet again, we should not go back to those matters that we have resolved, only discuss matters that are outstanding. So based on that, we did sign a document that was signed by the Council of the Union and signed by the Council on behalf of the national government. And that is one of the documents that we submitted in our submissions to this sitting. Now, on the issues that KMPDU says they are still outstanding, issue number 1 of internship. If you look at the document that we did submit, indeed, we did not agree. And that is why, on all other issues except that, we have 2 positions. We have a GOK position and a KMPDU position. And the GOK position was that the consideration of the issue regarding the posting of medical officer, intern, pharmacist interns, dentist intern is deferred and held in abeyance pending the final determination of the Employment and Labor Relations Court of Kenya in Eldoret by Dr. Micheni Mike and Dr. Mohamed Abdi and Dr. Angela Masiga versus the Salary and Remuneration Commission and others. And the KMPDU position was that the medical officer interns, pharmacists interns, and dentist interns shall be posted immediately with terms as per the 2017 collective bargaining agreement. Chair, that is the only matter that we had 2 positions. And we did agree that since they are going to subject this document to their National Advisory Council, and once there's unagreed, and from where we sat, we were negotiating and discussing and even signing, knowing that there will be no other position except an agreement on this. We did put one clause, number 9, Intergovernmental Task Force. Recommend the establishment of an intergovernmental task force to address the perennial challenges that have bedeviled the health sector. So we said all other matters that have not been finalized to conclusiveness, any outstanding matter that we have not agreed to, then shall be put to this task force for finalization. Chair, that was the position when we left each other on that evening. Since then, we have seen in the news that they did not get an agreement. The council did not vote for the union to call off the strike. Our expectation, Chair, is that then the union should now write so that we reconvene. They say we did not get a consensus based on what we had already agreed on, so that we reconvene. The warner can be reconvened by head of public service so that we continue with discussions. But having said that, Chair, I have said we have had both formal and informal. As we sit here this evening at 5, we are meeting again for a negotiation, an informal setting that has been requested by the Secretary General of the Union together with Head of Public Service. So I believe these are matters that really should be resolved. And from where we sit, Chair, really, we expect that the doctor should be back to work so that then the other matters can be progressed. On the issue now that he's raising, that's the one for registrars, we did discuss at length. And we agreed that, yes, you are raising a valid point, that registrars are not being paid. But equally, the hospitals where they are doing their clinical is raising issues, that we have an MOU between Kenyatta National Hospital, between Moi Teaching Referral Hospital, and the universities. As we sit here, Chair, I'm supposed to be in a meeting with the VCs, Head of Public Service, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, to discuss specifically the MOU on registrars. So, Chair, we have been working to find a solution to these issues. I would want to plead with the unions that please come back to work, since we have already demonstrated goodwill in resolving all these matters. And the matters that cannot be solved by the ministry, we agreed that then they go to the Intergovernmental Task Force to be resolved. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, yes, you want to add something?
Yes, there's just additional information that we've received as the CS was going through what we had agreed, and it affirms to what we had discussed. And these are the court orders of the court, LRC PET E032/2024, before Justice Byram Ongaya, dated 2nd May 2024. Number one, Chair, I want to read so that it helps us to introducing the discussion here. Parties to sign the return to work formula as appropriate and in good faith as the progression of the whole of nation proceedings, and therein with a view of recording the return to work formula at the mention on Monday, 6th May 2024 at 9:30 a.m. or thereafter, and parties to convene forthwith in that regard. 2, further to our order number 1 above, the parties are guided that the issue of intern is now subject of ELRC PET E003/2024 in Eldoret be handled in accordance with the orders made in that petition, or as parties may agree in line with the orders therein. 3, orders given herein on the 17th April 2024 continue in place, and in particular orders 2 and 3 thereof remain in place in view of the orders now given. The ruling on applications dated 26th April 2024 filed by the Attorney General and the 24th April 2024 by the Kenyatta National Hospital is hereby stayed. Mentioned on Monday, 6th May 2024 at 9:30 a.m. soon thereafter to adopt the return to work formula and for further directions. Chair, that's the latest progress that we received on this.
Thank you very much, Pierce. I think that is information. You know, the union has also not seen, because I've been sitting here. But for the union, you have heard what the Cabinet Secretary has said on the issue of interns. So it is true that matter you didn't agree. But the rest of the matters, you had agreed, only that your council probably didn't agree. Because now we need to go to the correct status of facts and position so that we make progress. And I think that is what we said here, that we want honest, candid discussion. And we like what the ministry is saying, that this matter, we have a position, we never agreed. But for all the matters that have been agreed then as a union, including the provision of a task force to handle any outstanding matter, do you have a problem as a union with that being a position that have been agreed, so the extent that the distilled matters that are not agreeable can then be subjected to that, so that we bring an end to this process and people are able to go back to work. So I think that's the issue. And finally, what we also need to hear from you now as a way forward is, since, and you'll advise us, your council or your advisory council didn't agree with what was discussed. So are you going to write back to the same stakeholders you engaged, so that you can reopen the discussions, probably in issues in your sitting and agreement you had already agreed, but the council felt that probably that should not have been the position. And if those few issues would then have remained, would we subject them to that task force, and you allow your members now to go back to work as those 3 matters are settled? I think that's what we should be looking at. And we will become as straightforward as that. And this is how this engagement should be going. We should be straightforward. What we agree, we agree. What we have not agreed, we have not agreed. We want to find solutions and responses. And of course, knowing that in a negotiation there must be give and take. There are no pillar positions when we go to negotiation. So, Chair,
Chair,
before they come and may listen to the
There's a gap. You see, even this internship where there seemed to be no agreement, it did appear like there was even agreement, but what broke this agreement was the remuneration that changed. And I would still really, I don't think it would be sub judice to really just hear from SRC the genesis of their thinking. I mean, if we leave that thing, because I think the court is making decisions, but I don't think the court will refuse SRC from saying, how are they thinking? Because I know this is going to be discussed when they go and sit together. I'm feeling very good that you may go and sit together. Looks like it's even this afternoon. But let's hear how SRC came to this figure.
Chair, I think you will guide, because that's the substance of the matter before court. And if you allow me, I can actually read the order so that we are clear, because what are being asked is actually the substance of the matter. And this is the order, and it reads, upon this matter coming up under certificate of urgency of an application dated 16th April before Honorable Lady Justice M. Onyango on 18th April 2024, it is hereby ordered that the matter be and hereby certified urgent, that the respondent and interested parties are directed to file responses to the application by close of day Monday, 22nd April 2024 in view of the urgency. 3, that the status quo pending before issuance of the respondent's letter dated 13th March 2024, reference is given, addressed to the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health, be maintained and pending hearing of the application inter partes. 4, that the applicant to serve the respondent and interested parties not later than 10 a.m. on 19th April 2024.
Just before you, Nikal, Chair SRC, what you have not read has not even informed us whether we are delving into the substance of the matter. What was the application? Maybe can we hear from the union, what in that matter, what is it that specifically those who have gone to court are seeking, so that we know whether if we engage, we are actually going to know the substance of the matter.
That's true. I'm sure they can go through that.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. The reason why those doctors went to court was to challenge the validity of SRC issuing that particular circular in the existence of the collective bargaining agreement that provides the framework of their remuneration, given that it was part of the CBA. And in that particular order, the direction given was that the status quo prior to the SRC circular be maintained, meaning that that SRC circular was stayed. That means, and prior to that, we were advocating for posting of these medical doctor interns as per the CBA. So that's the situation we are in. That means their posting should proceed. I must also say that something, Chair, just to correct what has been alluded a lot by both, I think the COG and now the ministry. I know it's not in bad faith. We had progress in our negotiation. But then when there's a progress in negotiation, it gets initialized to show where we have reached. It does not show an end to the process.
I think we don't want to go to that. It's clear there were negotiations, there were agreements that were reached at some level, references were made back, and I think we are where we are, and I think we are making good progress. But on the ruling on what Dr. Nikala said and SRC, actually there is no delving into the substance of the matter in that matter. However, because already there's an order to stay that, I don't think then we can even have to even discuss, because it means we are back to the original position. We allow matters to progress in the way we are suggesting to, so that you tell us, because I've asked now, Dr. you can respond to the issues I'd asked, so that we know how we can come to an end of this in terms of making progress going forward.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair, let me make just a final statement. You know,
Dr. Nyekal, you know, you only must take the mic if the chair allows.
Okay, Chair.
So I will, now that you have obeyed the rules of the House, I will allow you, but so that you also don't interfere when they are making their submissions. They will lose their thought process on the things they want to say.
Chair, the crux of the matter, if you look at it, there's an agreement. They were going to be posted. But then this figure comes. And what the court has said is it stays. We are not challenging that. All that people want to hear, what was the basis of that, even if it stays. Why I'm saying that, Chair, is that we are making this very good progress, but this single point can go out there and break this progress. So I think SRC should be, we have been to court. You can agree, the court can make a decision. If two people go and agree outside, people can even be divorced and then get married again. And the court has divorced them. So this thing, I think this flexibility is what I'm really requiring in this matter. But it is something they can go and discuss, but that flexibility, if it's not there, will give us problem.
Thank you very much, Nyekal. I think we have, let's listen from Daktari. We shall give guidance on that.
Thank you, Chair. So for us, the issue of doctor interns being posted is very critical to us. It is the deal breaker in this particular strike. It is the thing that we know, actually, if it's resolved today, by night, we will be at work. Because in its essence, if that SRC letter is to go by, because I know that the letters that were printed for posting these medical doctor interns was advised with that particular SRC letter. And therefore, it was exposing every particular doctor in the country. So if today the ministry say they don't have enough money, then they can post the doctors in batches without violation of this collective bargaining agreement. That I know very well that the Ministry of Labor knows its sanctity. Then we will not have any business being on strike. And we have said it in very many forums, and we don't just say it for the sake of it, that yes, what we have so far been offered by the government in our negotiations are promissory notes. And these promissory notes we have been given before in last year's engagements in January, where things were promised to us that they will be done with timelines, and they were not done. I think the same government giving us that now. We've been given the same promissory note some years back, but we were saying, for us to see there's a sign of goodwill in all our engagements, we can't have a return to work formula that has two stands. A stance of GOK, a stance of KMPDU, and yet that is the biggest bone of contention in the issues. And therefore, if that is resolved today, that this interest be posted in particular any way, in the way that does not violate our collective bargaining agreement, then we will see all doctors to work. And again, in the court order that has been provided today, in the advice I see my lawyer has just sent me, I think also probably the lawyers will check. The lawyers advised that then the doctors be posted as per the existing current regulations, given that this particular SRC circular has been stayed. So it means that if that is done, we have no good reasons not to accept the other promissory note, because then this will be an indicator that these other promises will also be implemented. But it will be very difficult for us as doctors to believe that the return to work formula agreement that we are having will be binding when the CBA that we know is registered in court, that it's a court order, is being violated. Thank you, Chair.
I have only not respond to one matter. You see, there was discussion, and that was a position. You went back to the council. So now that your advisory council and yourselves did not agree with what you had already discussed, so are you willing to go back? Because the position of the ministry, if I had the cabinet secretary right, is that we had agreed. We are only waiting for signature. Up to today, there is no formal position to say, sorry, what we had agreed, we are unable to proceed. So we would like to seek to come and have another sitting, to finalize. In that resolve, there was also an aspect of the task force. And if you are discussed along those lines, what I have just asked is, can this subject matter then of interns be subjected to that task force? And can you go back to the meeting to discuss, so that I think if we are clear on that, then we can give direction on the other matters.
Chair, the issue of internship of current law that I've waited for quite long cannot go to task force. The issue of the continuous engagements of intern doctors that then can now go to task force, so that we can see to it how then can we align our CBA with the issues that ministry is highlighting to be of concern that makes them not able to post them on time. But then the current one, it's been possible to put in task force and then say we suspend the strike, because that is the, I would say, the bone of the issue. The reason why we have been out for 50 days.
Now, we have had you on that, Daktari. How about going back to the meeting?
Yes, we are more than ready to go back to the meeting.
Yes, because that was where things left. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether Ministry have anything else before we give our final closing remarks. Maybe we start with the Cabinet Secretary for Labour, C.S. Bore. Just a minute, maybe before CS you come in, we had the Clinical Officers Union, please, SG. And then we have the Medical Laboratory. I think I'll give you so that we can combine the solution.
Chair, I think we will like at least the Ministry also to dive into our issues, because they are duly served with our notice and there are issues that still pends without being addressed. We appreciated that we have been having engagement on the CBA, but there are other issues that we have not totally been able to engage. As we discuss the issues of intern, we have two categories of intern, the diploma and the degree. On that specific proposal by the SRC, it is affecting our members, because previously the ministry has been relying on the approved staff establishment for intern personnel as approved by the Public Service Commission. And why is that to be? Is because the position for interns are not temporarily. The position are there to stay as long as we train this personnel. And that is why the Public Service Commission has a responsibility at the end of the day to establish those positions. And those positions informs the ministry in terms of their budgetary, to ensure that we can be able to pay them as per the, maybe Chair, so that you don't disrupt.
You know, I don't disturb you, but I also have to inform you.
Okay, sure.
That I hope you're also aware that Public Service Commission is vested with the power to establish and abolish offices as you make progress.
You have made it you have assisted me to answer that their establishment still stay and is still in place. It has not been abolished, and that is why the contradiction between the two constitutional body is causing confusion in the sector and actually leading to some of the stalemate that we have. Chair, our observation is that we have the two categories. The ministry previously in history has totally not honored paying the diploma as per the approved staff establishment, as much as they have been paying the degree as per the approved job group K. So all the time the diploma have been receiving a stipend of 15,000. So that's what has been keeping them the whole year as per for month, instead of paying them as job group H, which is approved. So for us, we are asking that the ministry improve that, implement that circular, policy fully for these interns to benefit. And Chair, for purpose of benefit, that even if they pay them as job group H, it's amount of 70,000 with the current economic situation, it is really painful that they actually eat from the food of the patient for them to serve. Chair, on the other issue that they have not responded is about our career progression, which they are the one who are heading this. We wish them to address that. The promotion and the redesignation for clinical officers, which is still something that has not happened several years down. And we have members who have stayed in one job group for more than 10 years. We also, they are the one also who we have asked that they consider absorption of the UHC because they were the employer to the Public Service Commission. And to subsequent, they need to state why they can't provide the resources for all of them to be absorbed at the, to be transitioned to permanent and pensionable. The last one is on employment. Chair, the report by the Auditor General for financial year 2021-2022 on a facility, it has provided that we do not have enough staff, specifically for level 4 and level 5. It has given specification, like to Musambweni and several other facility, where they are doing less than a half of what is required. Actually, out of 323, Musambweni has 117. Kiambu level 4 has 157, away from what is required and approved as the service establishment. So my request is, Chair, that these are issues that need to be addressed and be discussed, because in any case, the delay for when patients take long queue for them to be seen is not because of us.
SG, you know, I just wanted you to state your issues that are outstanding. Don't worry about the details.
Okay, then.
That. And I think all of us, as we raise these issues, let's appreciate we are a third world country,
Yes.
So that we also move from idealism to reality of life. Now, if you have finished your issues, I want to deal with the medical laboratory and the matters they have with national government. Do you still have anything
Just
outstanding?
the last one.
Yes, please.
That we believe that, as we communicated, that PS Modoni has led us to negotiate the CBA, and one item is remaining. For the last over 2 weeks, we have not engaged on that matter because we expected to finalize and sign. We'll wish to get also an update in terms of the engagement.
So you have engaged and you have only one outstanding matter. Is that the position?
Yes, and
okay,
no
get a
engagement
response from the ministry. Medical laboratory technicians.
Chair, thank you. I'll tackle some 3 issues, and I'll donate some few minutes to my chairman to complete. So one, in the morning we will tackle the issue of recognition agreement, but that was with the counties. We have the same problem with the Minister of Health, whereby we requested for the recognition agreement signing in 2021. We've been doing letters. Unfortunately, to date, we have never had any correspondence from the ministry. We have 905 officers working with the Minister of Health, and out of the 905, 757 are members of the union. So we have the threshold. We did a letter July on 13th.
No, I don't worry about the details.
It's okay,
you have explained. I think they have had.
So we issued a strike notice on 26th of March. To date, the ministry has not called us in any discussion because some of these issues does not need any financial issues. It's something to do with a pen and a paper and a goodwill, and we'll be ready to go back to work even by today midnight. We have another issue with the risk allowance. The issue we have with the risk allowance is something that was in our pay slip and it was removed. The SRC gave a circular in 2015 on all the allowances of healthcare workers. In this case, our medical laboratory officers who have been promoted to job group K, or those that have been employed at degree level, who are called the medical laboratory officers, they all lose their risk allowance that is being paid at 3,000 shillings. So we have raised the issue because denying these officers the 3,000 risk allowance, and these officers are working on the bench, because when they are being designated does not mean that they cease to be officers working the bench. We raised the issue through the SRC. SRC wrote to us and told us to engage the employer. So in this case, we raised the issue through the Ministry of Health, Public Service Commission, and the counties. To date, we have not received any communication about the same. Item number 3 is about staffs that have been working under Global Fund. We have had our staffs working with the ministry on contract for the last 15 years. Last year, December, their contract was terminated. There have been no communication. The officers are on the field, they are discharging their duties, they don't have salary, and there have been no communication. So I like the ministry and the CS to give the position of the same. I like to donate my few minutes to the chair to give some issues.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Honorable members, see, we are the new kid in the block. We thought that children are loved, but we've not gotten that opportunity to be loved by being given enough time to make
now, on a light note, in where I come from,
yes,
even if a baby is 1 year and he begins to kunja ngumi for the bed, and you beat him like an adult, so you can proceed from there.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, I'm going to highlight a few issues, that is promotion and redesignation of medical lab officers at the national government. In 2018, there were some 7 or 8 members of medical lab officers that the Minister of Health sponsored to go and further their studies. When they came back, they were never redesignated, and up to now, the ministry is quiet. Unfortunately, Bwana Chairman, the division of national laboratory services, which these officers are supposed to be redesignated to, is headed by a non-medical lab officer. We have followed up on this matter. The ministry is not responding to us. We've even asked for consultative meetings, and we want to know why a division, which is a technical division, is being headed by a non-medical lab officer. So I think the CS is here. She will give us a position, because this is a very critical matter. In case right now there's a pandemic in the country, and lab is supposed to come in handy, this is the person who is supposed to advise the government on matters medical lab. Number 2, in 2019, there was a court ruling prohibiting non-medical laboratory officers from doing medical tests. Around August last year, we wrote to the CS Health about this issue, because we have this problem. It is happening. If you look at the people testing HIV, they're not medical lab officers. And you find that most of them are Form 4 leavers, and they go as low as Class 8 dropouts. They are given trainings, 2 weeks training, to go and test HIV. Yet, there's a court ruling, very clear court ruling, that this thing should stop. So it is part of our strike notice, which the ministry has not engaged us. They have not even called us for any meeting. Lastly, you've talked about now, this question goes to the SRC and to an extension, Public Service Commission. I was supposed to ask it when the governors were here, but you never given me that opportunity. I tried raising my hands, and I was not given. Now, I want to know whether in some counties the SRC decided to remove payment of leave allowance, and to be specific, Garissa County. My members in Garissa County are not being paid leave allowance for 7 years now. And sometimes I even ask myself, because recently I saw SRC trying to abolish some allowances. The other colleagues are getting the leave allowance, but Garissa County is not getting leave allowance. So I would like to know whether it is specific for Garissa County that you told them never to pay leave allowance. Thank you, and I submit.
Thank you. You can switch off your mic. Is that Garissa matter part of the strike matters? It's good to clarify. Even if it is not part, we are not saying it should not be responded, but we want clarity on the lane, so that we know how to direct for you to be able to get a response.
No, it is not.
Very much. So I think maybe I will allow the Cabinet Secretary now. I can't allow you. You know, time is of essence. Is already going to 4. I will ask the CS if she has any response on the matter of CS Health, On the matter of clinical officers, they have said they have been engaging. There is a small matter that needs to be finalized. And the issue of the medical laboratory technicians, on the issue of their recognition agreement, because they already say they have 700 members, and all the other details. So maybe CS.
Thank you, Chair. On the issue of the laboratory technologies, I think the issue of recognition agreement, they have had meetings with us at the ministry, chaired by the principal secretary. And the information that I have is that they were asked to meet the criteria for their recognition. And since there was a dispute, they were then asked to register that dispute with the Ministry of Labour, so that then ourselves as the ministry and themselves, we can go to Ministry of Labour and have the issue resolved. That is the position that we have, Chair. On the issue of clinical officers, true, we have also had several meetings at the ministry, chaired by the principal secretary, and the one outstanding matter was on risk allowance, that they were seeking an increment of from 3,000 to 15,000 shillings. The budget, considering that it will not just affect the clinical officers at the national level,
Yes.
but all at, yes.
Don't speak for SRC because they are here.
Okay.
They will speak for themselves.
All right. So what we did as a ministry is to write to SRC to guide at the ministry level. And on the internship for clinical officers, I think it is only fair that the clinical officers union also agreed that as well. Thank you, Chair.
So maybe before I ask SRC to respond on that, clinical officers, is it true that the risk allowance moved from the stipend moved from 15,000 to 35,000?
Yes, Chair.
Is that a yes or no?
It is a yes, and I think
no, don't put hand. You know, when we are dealing with figures, we deal with absolute figures. So it is true that it has been increased from 15 to 35. Let's leave it there because we have room for negotiation, because
right, and we have actually responded. So we are waiting for, there are quite a number of documents that we've asked for, including financial, whether they have the money to pay and the implications on the county governments. We have also raised issues about equity, because you cannot pay increase for the clinical officers at the Ministry of Health at the expense of all others. So we are waiting for the final response from Ministry of Health.
So Ministry of Health you have had. So you wrote to SRC, they have written to you. So they are waiting for you to write back. So since we don't want to open, let me allow Dr. Bukose to make some comments.
You know, Chair, this is moving forward and backward. At the level, I don't know when the SRC wrote to the ministry.
It's actually recent. It's hardly a month. It's actually very recent.
And the letter has not reached the Ministry of Health.
It was in early April.
Early April.
Yeah.
Today is May. And up to now, the letter has not reached the Ministry of Health. Because the Ministry of Health is showing blankness. They have not received. Do we have a copy of that letter?
But on phone.
Can you forward it to the committee?
Yes, we can.
We can have a copy to the committee so that.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes.
Yes. Chair, I think one thing that...
Just a little bit, Dr. Deputy. We are finishing with because we want to finish with the clinical officers, then we come to you.
Yeah, Chair. I think the response for the CS has not touched on promotion and redesignation, the issues of comprehensive medical cover, and also transitioning of UHC staff to PNP, whom are actually being paid by the... They have not touched about that.
Yes, CS.
Thank you, Chair. On the issue of promotions, and remember, Chair, I said these matters were also brought to the attention of the whole of nation approach. And we did agree that respective matters will be resolved by respective employers. So on the issue of promotions, then the ministry, we are dealing with the 158 clinical officers who work under the national government. So the rest then will have to be dealt with by the employers, which are the county governments. Then on the issue of what is the other one? UHC. On UHC, there has been a stalemate, but I'm told this morning that there has been a clarification from Public Service Commission that it's going to be a renewal for another 2 years, and that I believe resolve it. I know they have been asking for PNP, which we still are not able to give that. We'll go by the advisory from the Public Service Commission. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we've just called the office confirmation that we received the letter from SRC, and the HR department is working on advisory to the PS so that we are able to respond.
Okay.
Yes.
But Bwana PS, you know the matter at hand is not a matter to be left to HR officers, and the HR officer in the ministry must know that this is a very serious matter. You know, if the letters come from SRC and is addressing a very serious matter of national concern, if the movement takes a month, I think you need to work on, they really need to update you because you are the decision makers. You know, as much as they are working on advisory, the first thing is to say there's a letter here that has come, so that you can even give them the deadlines. Otherwise, they can work on them forever. And these are part of the people now who are adding fuel into the fire, you know. You might be working at the top trying to resolve, but some gentlemen down there are part of the people who are accelerating the process. So I think you can proceed.
Dr. Deputy?
Yes, thanks, Chair. I just wanted this house to note that some of the biggest problem we have as employees in this country is Salary and Remuneration Commission, who are a union probably by employers, by the Ministry of Health, and by governors. I'm saying this because even the strike now that is taking place in Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, in Kenyatta National Hospital, if SRC was a responsive body, those strikes would have taken place. Why am I saying this? Because the moment you agree with the employer over CBAs and negotiated and they say they're able to pay, SRC puts roadblock. And this they have done for us, for example, in KNH, for 3 consecutive agreements. I'm saying this because I've seen they're doing the same for clinical officers, for all others. And yet, when Ministry of Health writes to them, reduce the wages for interns to this level, 36 hours, they have a response. So we really want a way to deal with this body. It's not really good for us, probably. It's probably meant just to frustrate us and to cause strikes.
Daktari, I don't know how true that could be, because from where I sit myself, as an employee of Parliament, I have issues with RSC. and I have not done what you are saying. So, but remember also they have a constitutional mandate. So if they are acting within their constitutional mandate, then And I'm afraid the results might be what we have. And I can tell you, we had a bond with them. You know, I was a governor, and I have no pension. So I have a carryover bonds with them. So it might not be true what you are saying, that they have an agreement with governors and so forth. Probably they're acting within their mandate, and we just need to address the issues along that line. I think so that we bring to an end. If we continue, we shall not finalize. I think we just need to make progress in the matters we have discussed. Can we allow the Cabinet Secretary for... We are not going to allow any additional deliberations. I think we have had enough. The rest can be handled in the other meetings.
Yeah, let me just say something.
Yes, Dr.
Something came here. We should have discussed it earlier when the governors was here. But now the CS and the Principal Secretary here and the CS Labor is here. There seems to be a problem of communication at ministry's level between county and the national government. And that is why you find this county is doing that, this county is doing that. But the Constitution recognized that these people should work together. This Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, in the Ministry of Fora, where the technical people from that side meet and this, what is happening? Can it work? And I'm just bringing that because eventually when we come to it, that's where it lands. It really lands because harmonization has to be an agreement between the ministry and the governors. And so there has to be a level where they sit. But I don't see that. And this thing, and remember, that is what is in the Constitution. This issue that people are wondering whether the Council of Governors is legal or not. What is not legal, and everybody knows, is the Secretariat of the Council of Governors. The Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, by law, is the Secretariat for the Council of Governors and the Summit. So to me, if it was working, then your technical people meet. It then goes to the Council of Governors as its Secretariat, and then to the Summit. I just brought it as a structural thing I saw, but you can discuss it at higher levels. Thank you, Chair.
Good. Thank you very much. So, Cabinet Secretary for Labour.
Thank you, Chairs and Honourable Members. We've been on this for the last 50 days, and how I wish we can get a solution to this problem. We go way forward. If we sit here, we will go round and round issues. But what I want to tell this committee, the bicameral committee, is that with the whole of nation approach committee, we zeroed down from 19 issues to 17. So we are only talking about 2 issues. The ones of interns and the one for the registrars. Those 2 issues can be determined by the court in Eldoret, the Employment and Relations Committee, court, or can be determined by the task force. Now, there was also the issue that has been brought by the other unions on recognition. Before us in the Ministry of Labour, those unions have never reported any disputes. And we invite them to come to the ministry so that we can look at those disputes and advise them accordingly. My request is that even as we wait for the determination by the court, by the task force, kindly, doctors, go back to work. Let us have a return to work formula. Let us not take the people of this country round and round. I have personally invited the KMPDU into my office, and we had a honest discussion. And I would still invite them to come if they think there are other issues that they're not being listened to. We are here as a ministry, as an arbiter, to be able to get solutions, and we have even the conciliation committee that I launched. If that conciliation committee cannot work, we can go to a court-aided mediation. And in mediation, we invite everybody. We'll have parliament, we'll have the ministry, we'll have COG, we'll have all the unions. But even as we have mediation that is court-aided, the doctors will have gone back to work. Let us not let Kenyans suffer, even in this situation when we have problems coming out of flooding. My kind submission. Thank you, Chairs.
CS Health.
A very important question to the Labour.
I can't
CS
allow
Labour
you.
is very, very important. She's actually the one in charge of everything.
Daktari, you know, we cannot argue on the mic.
It's just a clarification.
I have ruled that we have closed that session. Don't worry, I'm sure the Cabinet Secretary is available. As you walk out, you can even walk to our office and continue. And she has already invited you for a discussion. CS Health.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy with the progress that we have made so far, and I really want to associate myself with the comments that have been made by my colleague for CS for Labour, that there are two ways in which we would find a solution to the one outstanding matter from where I sit. Because the issue of registrars, we did discuss with the union and agreed on some formula. So on the issue of internship, we have the two options that have been provided by the CS Labour. That either we wait for the determination by court, and for me I would think that that might not be the proper way to go. Because people are suffering, really. People are suffering. If only doctors can agree to get back to work, as we discuss, then we alleviate suffering. And once we are in agreement, we will settle what we have agreed in court. We'll go and settle it there and say we'll go and record that this is what we have agreed on. But we can only agree if the union comes back and says our council did not agree with this. What is the middle ground? What is the position that we now take? So I want to thank you, Chair, and I look forward to meeting the SG in our meeting this evening at 5. Thank you.
Chair SRC.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is to say that we continue discharging our mandate as required. We are all aware that there are financial constraints in this country, and therefore it's important, even as we continue with the process, that we take cognizance of the real economic situation in this country. Thank you.
Chair PSC.
Thank you, Chair. I also wish to comment. We agreed, of course, we gave indication in the morning on where we are going to go with the UHC, and the CS Health here has confirmed that we are going to engage them for another 2 years. I also wish to point out that the issue of the career guidelines for clinic officers is under active engagement. And what the union here is not saying is that they were in the Public Service Commission last week. They met with our technical officers, and they were given 3 areas which they should improve on. This is a continuous engagement because the Public Service Commission is supposed to set norms and standards for posterity and not just for 1 year or 2 years. So that issue is under active engagement, and the ball is in their court. Thank you, Chair.
Good. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Let me first take this opportunity to thank all of you, our stakeholders, for attending this meeting. And I want to say we've made tremendous progress in this discussion. And I think just to reiterate what we have all agreed here in our course of discussion, the Kenya National Union of Medical Laboratory Officers, we have agreed that you file your dispute with the Cabinet Secretary for Labor, who will then convene a conciliation so that if you meet the necessary threshold and agreed, the union will then be recognized. We have also agreed here that you also file the same on the matter of national government, Ministry of Health, so that all matter can be considered and so that. We have also agreed here that the Council of Governors holds a meeting with Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, that is on 7th of May in the morning at 10 a.m. to discuss the outstanding issues and finalize. We have agreed that they also have a meeting with KMPDU on the same 7th of May at 2 p.m. to discuss the issues of promotions and postgraduate training that the union feels are outstanding with counties. And also in regard to harmonization of salaries, we have said the Kenya Human Resource Advisory Council continue and convene a discussion on those harmonizations so that we are able to make progress. We have agreed that KMPDU and the team gets back to the Whole of Nation Approach Committee, the committee that discussed and agreed on some matters to discuss the remaining outstanding issues and the way forward. And we hope that can happen within next week so that we go towards ending the strike and making sure that we are able to finalize. That will touch on matters of issues of the intern doctors and all the other outstanding matters. We have agreed that the Public Service Commission extend the contracts of the UHC and CHREP staff by 2 years in accordance with the summit resolution. That the Cabinet Secretary of Health also agrees with that. And we also say that the Joint Secretariat here will follow up on the decisions that have been made by this committee. We want to urge all the stakeholders to consider, and particularly our unions, we also want to appeal to you. You know, as a country is going through another calamity of floods, I think this also calls for you to also make some conscious decision and also consider calling off the strike because of this matter and as the matters are being resolved. From where I sit myself, I see Council of Governors have had a very serious commitment and goodwill, and I think we have discussed a majority of the issues. National government has demonstrated goodwill, although you are calling them promissory notes. But you know, even to have a promise is a progress, you know. I think when you go back to that meeting, just tighten the issue of ensuring the promise is delivered. And then please, let's go back to work. One of the things that should not be lost, ladies and gentlemen, our health workers, you know, we really value what your service in this country. But just take note that unlike other cadres in public service or public sector, is once a life is lost because there was nobody to address, there is no comeback. You know, I used to work for Teacher Service Commission, and sometimes we could deal with strikes. But when we agree, we also work on a timetable of teachers teaching over the weekends, teaching extra 2 hours in a day. But when it comes to human life, just know when somebody goes, there is no comeback. Maybe if you meet next, will depend, of course, if you are a Christian, where you will be. If you will be on the other side of fire, there might be no chance to discuss how you suffered. If you will be on the other side, you must. So please, we are really appealing to you that if there is only 1 or 2 outstanding matters, these are matters you can cede some position for the sake of the country and be able to move forward. Ministry of Health and National Government, we are also asking you to finalize on the clear-cut matter of training, where when counties release doctors to go for training, it is the responsibility of national government. We would like you to address this matter beginning next financial year. We take cognizance of the issues of resources, and that's why we would not want to go sending disruptions in the middle of the year. But you must continue now considering that matter as we go into the new financial year. As to that, we'll also solve part of the problems of employment of doctors by releasing some space in counties. We also must be truthful, ladies and gentlemen, as we have been taught by the number 2 of this country, that things have improved. And the unions, you must also acknowledge sometimes. You cannot be just criticizing and everything is negative. If the recruitment of doctors has moved from a paltry 800 to 5,000, close to 6,000 in 10 years, that is significant. If nurses have moved from 6,000 to 30,000, that is significant. However, we have not reached the threshold that is required. Definitely, there is need for additional resources, but as we look for those resources, I'm also of the view that we have to be realistic as a nation. We would have want to see the ministry and county governments employ, to the threshold where we feel our facilities are well staffed. But let's do that, recognizing that how we are economically as a country. But that is not an excuse, of course, not to prioritize. We are also asking our county governments to prioritize the issue of health, being one of the major devolved functions. We must continuously work towards doing that. Matters that don't require any financial, and I've heard the union saying there are matters that don't require any financial, that has no financial implication. We are asking the ministry to also address those matters with the urgency it deserves, so that it does not necessarily become part of the things that are dragging us behind. With that, ladies and gentlemen, this meeting stands adjourned, and we hope the discussions that are going to happen is going to solve the strike, and we continue to persuade everybody that we end the strike so that we are able to serve the nation. Thank you very much.